Imagine a place that looks like heaven on earth. That was the Jordan Plain thousands of years ago. Crystal clear rivers twisted through lush green fields, and fruit trees were loaded with ripe produce year-round. After the chaos of the Tower of Babel, when humanity's big dreams came crashing down, tired and scattered tribes wandered into this beautiful valley searching for a fresh start. At first, they lived simply in tents. But the land was so rich and fertile that life quickly got easier. Trade routes opened up, wealth poured in, and those tents soon turned into solid stone houses. Before long, impressive towers rose toward the sky. Two cities grew faster and grander than anyone had seen before, Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom became the powerhouse. Its massive walls were so wide that 3 chariots could race side by side on top. Every morning, huge gates swung open for caravans loaded with goods from Egypt and Babylon. Markets buzzed with activity. Coins changed hands under bright banners, and merchants grew rich. Kids played around sparkling fountains, and everyone felt secure and prosperous. Just over the hills, Gomorrah had a different vibe. It was a city of beauty and pleasure. Stunning courtyards were filled with rare flowers. Marble pools reflected the night stars, and artists and poets thrived. Music floated everywhere. Wine flowed freely, and people celebrated freedom and enjoyment above everything else. From the outside, both cities looked perfect, wealthy, advanced, and full of life. They seemed like the future everyone wanted. But perfect appearances can hide deep problems. Under the glitter and success, something dark was already growing. The hidden corruption and sins of Sodom and Gomorrah. On the surface, Sodom and Gomorrah looked like dream cities. Sodom was a powerhouse of trade and wealth, with massive walls and bustling markets where merchants grew rich. Gomorrah shone as a haven of beauty and pleasure, filled with elegant gardens, art, music, and endless parties. But beneath the glamour, deep rot had taken hold. In Sodom, justice was a joke. Judges like Bara openly favored the powerful. A poor widow once begged for her stolen land back, but the judge took bribes from the rich thief and sent her away empty-handed. The strong bullied the weak without fear, and kindness was forgotten. In Gomorrah, freedom meant chasing every desire without limits. People abandoned their families for reckless relationships, including same-sex affairs that defied natural order. Temples to false gods popped up everywhere, while the true creator was mocked. Sacred values turned into street jokes, and pleasure became the only god. These cities prioritized wealth, power, and unchecked fun over morality and God. Injustice, greed, immorality, and idolatry poisoned everything. The cries of the oppressed reached heaven, revealing how far they'd fallen. This hidden corruption shows how prosperity can mask moral decay. When society ignores right and wrong, chasing only what feels good, destruction follows. God's visit and Abraham's plea. One quiet afternoon, everything changed for Abraham. He was resting under ancient oak trees in the west, far from the bustling cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Suddenly, 3 strangers appeared on the dusty road. Abraham didn't hesitate. He ran to them, bowed low, and invited them to rest. He quickly arranged water to wash their feet, fresh bread, and a tender calf for a meal. He treated them like royalty. As they ate, Abraham realized these were no ordinary travelers. Their eyes shone with a light that was almost too bright to look at. 2 of them stood up and gazed toward the east, where Sodom and Gomorrah lay. The third stayed behind. Abraham's heart raced. He was standing face to face with God himself. God spoke calmly, but with deep seriousness. The cries from Sodom and Gomorrah have reached my throne. The evil there is terrible. I'm going down to see if it's as bad as the screams say. If it is, fire will come. Abraham thought of his nephew Lot, living inside those city walls. Fear and love pushed him to speak up. Lord, he asked, his voice shaking, would you really destroy the good people along with the bad? What if there are 50 righteous people there? Would you spare the cities for them? God answered gently, if I find 50 righteous people, I will spare the whole place. Abraham grew bolder. What about 45? God agreed. Then 40, 30, 20. Abraham's forehead was sweaty as he whispered, what if there are only 10? For the sake of 10, God said, I will not destroy it. Silence fell under the oaks. The wind rustled the leaves like a quiet warning. Abraham stood alone, praying that somewhere in those glittering cities, at least 10 good hearts remained. The angels in Sodom and the mob attack. In the ancient city of Sodom, things were about to get intense. As the sun set, 2 mysterious strangers, actually angels in human form, walked through the city gates. Lot, Abraham's nephew who lived there, spotted them right away. He was sitting with the city elders and sensed something special about these visitors. Worried for their safety, he invited them to stay at his house instead of sleeping in the open square. The angels agreed after some convincing. Lot quickly prepared a meal for them, but peace didn't last long. Soon, a huge crowd gathered outside. Every man in Sodom, young and old, surrounded the house. They banged on the door and shouted, "Bring out those men. We want to have sex with them." This mob was driven by pure lust and violence. In Sodom, hospitality was ignored, and wrongdoing had become normal. The people saw the visitors as objects of their desires, showing how deeply corrupt the city had become. Lot stepped outside to calm the crowd, desperately trying to protect his guests. He even offered his 2 virgin daughters instead. A heartbreaking choice that highlights the chaos. But the mob turned on him, calling him an outsider who dared to judge them. They pushed forward, ready to break in and attack everyone. Just in time, the angels acted. They pulled Lot back inside and struck the mob with blindness. The men outside groped around in confusion, still trying to find the door. This terrifying night revealed Sodom's true darkness. Total moral breakdown, where evil was unchecked. The angels warned Lot that judgment was coming soon. Fire from heaven would destroy it all. The story reminds us how far society can fall without boundaries, but also shows divine protection for the righteous. The escape and total destruction. As dawn broke over the wicked cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, time was running out. The 2 angels who had visited Lot the night before urgently warned him. Danger was coming. After the mob's violent attack on his house, the angels made it clear. God had judged the cities and destruction was imminent. The angels grabbed Lot, his wife, and their 2 daughters by the hand and dragged them out of the city. "Run for your lives," they commanded. "Don't stop anywhere in the plain, and whatever you do, don't look back." Lot was scared of fleeing straight to the mountains, so he begged to go to a small nearby town called Zoar. The angels agreed, saying they couldn't start the judgment until he was safe. As the family hurried toward Zoar, Lot's wife couldn't resist. Her heart was still tied to luxurious life in Sodom. The parties, the wealth, the excitement. She turned for one last glance over her shoulder. Instantly, she froze, turning into a pillar of salt standing on the road. A permanent warning against longing for a sinful past. Once Lot reached safety, the sky erupted. God rained down burning sulfur and fire from heaven. The beautiful cities exploded in flames. Towers crumbled, marble melted, and screams filled the air before being silenced by thick smoke. The entire plain turned into a smoking wasteland. From afar, Abraham watched a massive black cloud rise like a pillar. Paradise was gone forever, wiped out in a single terrifying morning. This ancient story reminds us, when evil takes over, judgment follows. But it also shows mercy for those who choose to obey and move forward. The aftermath and modern warning. Even after the fire and sulfur rained down, destroying Sodom and Gomorrah in a single terrifying morning, the story didn't end. Today, thousands of years later, the ruins of Sodom and Gomorrah still speak. They're a mirror for our world. When wealth makes us forget gratitude, when freedom means chasing every desire without limits, when justice is bought by the highest bidder, and when sacred things are mocked as old-fashioned, the ground beneath us starts to shake. Look around. Pride dressed up as progress, pleasure treated like a god, truth twisted to fit feelings. The same poison that destroyed those glittering cities is creeping into ours. History doesn't have to repeat itself, though. The Bible shows there's hope. One righteous person can hold back judgment. One honest prayer can still reach heaven. One decision to turn away from the past and look forward to God can save a life, or even a nation. The smoke over those ancient cities is long gone, but the warning burns bright. Keep your heart soft, your choices wise, and your eyes fixed ahead, because one day, every city will face its own sunrise of judgment. Let's make sure ours stands.